Hello, this is Valerie Aiello, and you're listening to IdeaDiary. Thanks for coming back, y'all, and hanging out. Okay, now we're going to go over part 2 of the introduction of The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. I've never read this book before, so I'm just archiving my notes here about the introduction. So we're going into the part 2 of the introduction. The point of the book is it's a 12-week course that you can do by yourself, but you can also do in groups of other people. So I'm going to save the weekly courses to do with some other people, maybe in a Zoom meeting or something like that. And I'll report on that later, but I just wanted to get the introduction out. I can come back and revisit this if I ever want to, and you guys can too. The first part of the introduction went over the morning pages. So you do 3 morning pages. You don't show anybody. You do them every day, and you have to do them in the morning. The second part of the introduction goes over something called the artist date. If you think of yourself like a radio, the morning pages signal out to your creativity, and it's kind of like your creative wholeness is kind of speaking out. And the artist date is something that you the signal gets received. And you're kind of opening yourself up to insight, inspiration, guidance. And I would say maybe the morning pages you're kind of getting yourself out. And then the artist date, you're kind of opening yourself up to the world and looking for inspiration. So the morning pages acquaints us with what we think that we need and identifying problem areas and concerns and working it out and pulling out the fun stuff. And the artist date also helps you create the solutions to your problems, to your wants and desires and all that stuff. So the first thing is you've got to block out 2 hours weekly. So you have to commit to 2 hours time spent by yourself every week. And number 2, you have to make this a special time that you set aside. You can't just kind of randomly fall into it. So I'm guessing that you can, but maybe there's a point through the week that you're thinking, okay, the week is coming to an end. Like, I've got to book the time with myself. So maybe there's some wiggle room on when you can find your 2-hour period, but you've got to make that date. And number 3, you have to commit to nurturing your creative consciousness and commit to nurturing your inner artist. And number 4, you must do this alone. It has to be you on a date with your inner artist, your inner child. You are doing this with yourself. So you can't invite a friend along. You can't. It's just, if you do that, say if you're deciding I need to go see a film. Well, I don't know if you could go see films anymore, but watch that movie all alone. If you want to watch a movie with somebody else, that's a different time. So the point is that you've got to figure out a time by yourself. And a lot of times she talks about that might mean you have to hire a babysitter. You've got to take it that seriously to where you're booking this time with yourself and you're paying attention to yourself. So some of the ideas that she talks about, you could visit a junk store, you could visit a beach, you could visit an art gallery, you can go to an old movie, you can go to aquariums, just something in your city. You could check out a new neighborhood, take yourself to a new coffee place or something. You could go bowling by yourself. There's all types of things that feels like you're taking yourself seriously and you're getting out there and you're kind of seeing the world. You have to watch that side of your brain that is going to be your killjoy to say, this is silly. This is stupid. Why are you doing this? And your brain's going to try to wiggle out of the date and try to add a third person. There's all these ways your mind's going to trick you because it's new and it's that fight or flight thing, that it's going to try to take you away from this moment, because new is scary to your brain. You've got to be conscious of this, and you've got to guard against it, and you've got to push through that, your brain telling you it's dumb, and to not do it, or to figure out some other ways to do it. So avoiding the artist date is fear of intimacy, and to be a great creator and artist and builder of things and whatever it is you want to do, you've got to create that organizational self-intimacy thing. It doesn't have to be everything, every problem's figured out, but you're going through this motions of writing the morning pages and spending time with yourself out in the world. So, and self-disclosure will equal true intimacy and will equal profitability. So, I like that. Okay, so to have a real relationship with your creativity, you must care and cultivate it. Our creativity will use this time to confront us, confide in us, bond with us, and plan. So I haven't done the artist date thing with any sort of real intention. I heard about it when I started discovering the book and talking about the book with other people. And so we've been in the apocalypse. I would totally be into the artist date thing. And I know that I don't take myself to enough museums or take myself to enough movies. When I really love a band, I only buy one ticket because I don't want anybody around me that's not going to like the show. There are some things that I do where I pay attention to myself and I get in there and I go and I'm taking in every moment for myself, but I definitely don't do it enough, and I definitely don't do it with tons of intention behind it. So I'm really excited to do that. I feel like my artist date would be going and looking at products, going to weird toy stores and looking at the different things that are there, going to even like a Barnes and Noble type thing where I'm just looking at the businesses and seeing how it's ran, and looking at the records, looking at the books, looking at the coffee shop. I know it's a Starbucks in there or something, so it's not really interesting, but I'm into being inspired by different businesses, different products, different things. I do like going to the library and I don't really sit there and read or sit down and work or anything, but I do like going through the stacks. And a lot of times I'll pick out like 10 graphic novels just from the cover. I don't really care what the story is about or anything. I'll just get a whole stack of 10 graphic novels and I'll just keep them around, and then I'll kind of go through them and then I'll return them. Because I just kind of want to see the art. Maybe 1 out of 50 graphic novels that I'll check out, I'll actually read the storyline. Everyone's attracted to different things when it comes to books, but I do like to see all the art and what people are creating. I love that. So the artist date, I feel like, is a really great idea. I'm really impressed with the artist way. Like I said, I haven't read the whole thing yet, so I'm going to explore. I want to do it with other people, so I'm going to try to work that out, and then I'll report on that. But the artist date does feel like a intricate part. I didn't understand what the importance was until I read the introduction. So pretty excited about that, to get that going into my life. We'll see how I can figure that out. At least stores on some level are open, so I can kind of go out and explore in that way. It talks about maybe walking the beach or hiking. I wouldn't include exercise as an artist date thing, because I feel like you are doing something different than just paying attention to yourself. Because I'll walk 20 minutes or an hour a day all the time, and I don't necessarily feel that as like true exploration with myself time. So maybe for someone else it is, but I don't know. All right, so I guess I'm going to have one more video on this to wrap up the rest of the introduction of the Artist Way. So this video is not too long, these episodes. So I'll make sure these episodes aren't too long. But one more is coming. Come back and hang out if you're interested on the final notes of the introduction. Obviously, I love the morning pages. It's pretty amazing how things are changing without me even trying, and changing in a super positive way of things I couldn't do on my own. I'm really excited to see how the artist date adds to my creation process. Okay, I guess that's the end of this show. And part 1 was the episode before, and then this is part 2, and there'll be a part 3 to the Artist Way introduction notes, and it's coming soon. So come hang out tomorrow if you're interested in that, and I really appreciate it if you're listening to this on a podcast using iTunes or Spotify or whatever, or if you're watching this podcast on YouTube. I appreciate that also, and I'll see you tomorrow. So I still don't know how to end the show, so I'm just going to play the music.